that would push the agenda for the Nigerian state to bring about a change in strategy in the region. Secondly, most of these solutions must be homegrown. The gentleman of the civil society said the action is there. And if the action is there, it must be where it is happening. The other thing we have observed is that we are always looking for palliative measures. We must tackle the problem at the root. For the issues raised by the young lady about security, personal security, food security, and so on, one thing you must know is that where there's no justice, there's no security. The security we seek for is a collective security where every man will have his due. And in an environment without justice, there will be no faith and social capital in the system. So what we advocate this afternoon that is coming out is that we must all begin to work for a just and fair society, where ethnic nationalities with civil societies will take the center stage, but that we should not leave the state to set the agenda. We all collectively in this room and those outside should set the agenda for the Nigerian state.
When the ambassador talks about unity, faith, peace, and progress, he did not mention the fact that all over the world, the pristine values of justice are good for all people and for all nations. And so, before there can be unity, there must be justice. Because when there is justice and a sense of belonging, by hitherto disparate ethnic nationality brought together by the happenstance of 1914, it is only when there is justice that there will be basis for unity, because there will be identifying national interests. And when there is unity, there will be faith in the country. And when there is faith, then there's what we can be able to achieve what we call social capital. And that is the cooperative capacity to work for common good.
I think that in this conference, we should begin to champion a process that will bring about respect for universal standards anywhere in the world. Not just the Niger Delta or Nigeria, but just anywhere in the world. If Shell, Chevron, Texaco, Mobil, and Ajib, who are the major drivers of the oil sector in Nigeria, can look inwards and say we can't bury our heads any longer in shame or in the mud, we've got to standardize and do oil the way it's done in our home countries, or we will pull out. We've got to encourage a process that will allow for the right policies that are internationally accepted in this sector, rather than bribe their ways along the lines and placating the situation. Just maybe you'll be forcing the Nigerian state to move in from the back of the world, like he has said, to the center stage of the world. Indeed, Nigeria has the capacity to remain the giant of Africa, but that's not so at the moment.
They feel that they are more women than us. And one of their men, Goodluck Jonathan, who ordinarily in every revolutionary setup will be seen as a traitor to our cause. They said, because it's from the region we come from, the Constitution will never recognize him. Do those people want peace? Do they want peace? Can peace just come? You catch Saraguwa, you kill him. We want peace. Oh, the peace we are looking for is the peace that says, close your eyes, close your mind, close your ears, close your mouth. Do not think at all. That is the peace they want. It's worse than the peace of the graveyard.
The sincerity of the Nigerian government is simply not enough. There has to be also the sincerity of the people that are directly affected by the problem in the Niger Delta. They too have to be very sincere in the effort to find a solution to the problem of that area. Of course, you can criticize what the government is doing. Where you see that there are problems, yes, you point it out. But where it is also making a point, let it also be pointed out and let it be praised.
My striking challenges I had was, first, most of these are government reports. And we were thinking, okay, government, can we see the reports? We were given 10 days. We said we should report within 10 days. And we started asking the government, where are the reports? The first shock I had was that there was no copy of the report anywhere that the government could give. So to even get the reports, we had to go and shop for those who were members of such committees and some people who had spare copies of what. But this is not a forum to talk about what we did. The point is that one striking thing that I saw, which was very revealing, was a recommendation or a view, the observation by the white man Willings Commission in 1958, when looked into the fears of minorities when Nigeria was supposed to come to independence. And talking about the Niger Delta, I raised the issue that the region should not be so oppressed that the people will be repressed, that troops will be required to quell that repression. That was 1958. When we looked at all the recommendations, all the things that have been said from then till now, we saw something that was only one issue that was there. Non-implementation, 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 non-implementation till date.
I tell people that federal government on their own did not do amnesty. They were forced to do amnesty. And for me, that began the moment for peace, or for just peace in the Niger Delta, because there were now a balance of forces. And that was why when we were called upon to go and do the Niger Delta Technical Committee report, I think our problem started when the 45 men and women gathered in Abuja. Even before inauguration of that panel, the federal government have decided on who the chairman of that committee was going to be. And the papers had carried the name of the committee. And when we got in after inauguration, the civil society members of that committee decided to change the situation. And that was how Ledomite became the chairman. And that was when our problem began. Because they realized that the kind of report that will come out of that committee is not the one they actually wanted. And that was how civil society drove the outcome of that committee. The federal government never envisaged that we should go back to the communities. All they said was, look at previous reports. But we insisted on going back to the communities to solicit for memoranda. And communities responded in view of new developments in the Niger Delta.
I remember that when the technical committee was still sitting, government went ahead to announce the Ministry of the Niger Delta. I mean, that was how stupid it was. So if you knew the way forward, if you knew we were going to establish a Ministry of the Niger Delta and how to run how to solve the problem, why did you set up a technical committee? So it was very obvious that the government wanted to send everybody on the wild goose chase. They wanted to keep us busy whilst they had their own agenda. So, and that is what Doctor said. The political will, the insincerity of government. I mean, that was a classic example. It didn't come better than that. That government was supposed to wait for a technical committee report to begin to implement, programs in the Niger Delta region.
or to show the roadmap to peace. And whilst that technical committee was still sitting, government went ahead to do what it wanted to do. And by the time the committee finished its work, government had already done what it wanted to do and kept that report aside. So I think, may I suggest to the House that one of the things we should put in our communique is that we should demand for a full implementation of that report.
In Ijoland, where several people have been arrested, several people were killed, armed struggle in itself is not a means to an end. Armed struggle, we must all sit down at a conference table and dialogue and discuss and arrive at a peaceful settlement, resolutions of the conflict. Now, how would you want the man who is governor of Rivers State, who receives about 54 billion naira a month, the man who is governor of Bayelsa State, who receives so much money, and Akwa Ibom State, to sit with you, to discuss and to agree and to move forward in a particular direction, when he knows that if that happens, the status quo will sweep him away. The new emerging status quo will sweep him away. He will do everything to make sure that it subverts the process. So we now have Goodluck Jonathan is president or acting president or whatever we call him. And we have a governor from his own state who go to a woman who is not elected and say, "Mommy, mommy." And I know the celebration that will be going on in Yenagoa as Yaradua arrived in the darkness of the night. So how are we going to come together? For me, I don't bother myself. People call me a loner. There is a lone ranger, he's always on his own. Festus, the complaint is too much. They always tell Festus that Alaji does not want to move with anybody. If I know what is right, and I know that this is right, and I know that myself, there is a meeting point between me and Chris, or between me and my big father, Mite, between me and Dr. Bianeme, we will meet on that particular issue, and we'll try to move it forward. We cannot wait for others who want to drag us back. If we want to make progress, we'll meet. If we are united, those who believe are united and are speaking with one voice, and we have one goal, I think we'll be successful. But if we are to wait, we will wait eternity. We will never reach a consensus.
And of course, you hear the news going on right now. Since November, there's still a problem about who is the president of Nigeria. And so, since independence, this has been a problem. Leadership is the very reason why Nigeria has not been able to get its rights. And what has accounted to Europe, development of everywhere, has been leadership. But that is missing in Nigeria. With the consequence that for 50 years, we are seen unable to move beyond the terms and limit that would undermine our greatness, despite the huge potential. We are still unable to define a country toward terms that are compatible with the highest ideal of nation building. Talking about the way to do what is right for a people and for a country, and perhaps we'll get it right for a nation. For every year, you hear about huge budgetary allocation. But people don't ask questions.